fantastic combine. When you watch this guy, I think really for me, what stands out, okay, we got number 58. His ability to replace hands, and this is, we always talk about footwork and body position, and it's extremely important. But very few guys are as good at replacing hands as this guy is early in his career. Watch this one more time. You look at here, he goes from outside to inside, replacing and extending and locking guys out, playing against Georgia here, a bunch of different good first-round draft pick potential from the Georgia Bulldogs. He can anchor. He can replace hands. He has good footwork. He is a good athlete, given the fact that he's this big, 335 pounds. There are footwork issues. There are some bend issues, especially out of 2-point. But when you watch this guy, you have to be excited about the fact that he is so good with his hands and he likes to finish plays. From a behavior standpoint, he's got everything you want. You see, even that stance is a little bit tall. I like the way he's trying to get bent over. He does have a hip hinge. He does a really good job of staying square. You see, again, wins with his hands. He was going to try to shuck this guy, ends up extending. Does a great job, and he loves to finish. Loves to finish with hands inside. Phenomenal stuff. Okay, out of the 3-point, I wanted to highlight this because he really does a nice job out of 3-point. When you put him in this position, and this is what happens with a lot of guys I work with. Sometimes coaches now are like, just playing 2-point. We want you to be able to see the field, blah, blah, blah. Listen, put them in 3-point in practice for half the reps because now they get used to playing out of it. It's more work for them when they get into the game situation and they're tired. Even if they're in 2, they don't stand up as tall. You see the bump off here. I think that's a fantastic job. He keeps his shoulder pads and hips pointed towards the line of scrimmage, and so he can pass off this game with ease. This is not an easy thing to do. A lot of guys get picked off by coming flat, and again, we finish to the ground. The 3-point here. And this is where, we get up a little bit tall and wrestle from time to time. He takes a back foot step here. He takes an inside step and then comes back out. He's really just kind of a cutoff hip hinge position. But I just wanted to show again this. He'll get into the mix, butt it up, help the running back spring for extra yards. Now, I'll show this one again. He's not going against an elite level pass rusher, but you got silent count. He's trying to time this. But for 335 pounds, and this is kind of what showed up at the combine, this guy is explosive. Now, everyone's going to talk about he's got kind of a weird kick as he comes out. He almost hops on his left foot twice. We need to stop thinking about, and coaches, experts, stop thinking about how specific guys are doing certain things and understand where are they getting to and are they under control. So this guy's laid off the snap, but he does a phenomenal job of getting back and getting into confrontation with relatively going backwards, matching velocity with the upcoming defensive end or outside linebacker, and then going into this contact under pretty good control considering the situation, ends up getting locked out. That guy that he's playing against is not going to threaten him. But again, you look here, and he's able to keep that toe pointed towards the line of scrimmage, shoulders, hips pointed towards the line of scrimmage. And when a guy who's 6'6", 335 can do that, plays with his aggressiveness and has that hand placement, you're just going to see a lot of this. He just locks out, throws away, discards. This guy puts what I maybe like most about this guy, he loves putting dudes on the ground. You just watch this tape. You can pull up any, 6-7 reps. Dudes are going to be on the ground. Okay, we always want to take a look at that backside, just understand if their footwork's good coming out of college, seeing how they're being coached here. He gains leverage with that first step. He's gaining leverage on his defender, meaning he's ending up in a better position than he started before the snap. That is super important. He's not stepping behind himself. That allows him to go into contact with good pad level, good hip level. It's little things that make a huge difference here. We look at this again. This is where he's going to get in a little bit of trouble. Now, a lot of times he'll do this 2-kick jump back. Sometimes my man here will take his left foot and slide it over. So it's almost like instead of trying to stay square, you'll slide that foot all the way over. We'll see it here. Right there. He ends up in this position because he kicks that foot over almost directly to his right, and he ends up with his feet in line. And when you get in this position in the National Football League, obviously you see that leg straight. He's catching, his pads are down. This is a position you want to avoid. This is a position you want to get those hands in. You want to get your chest big, right? Want to keep that hip hinge, but you want to keep your chest big. You don't want to round your back. You want to be able to enter into contact under control. And obviously you want that heel off the ground. You want to slide that foot with cleats in the ground. But again, he resets so well. You see this position when the ball is thrown, hands back inside, does a great job, particularly with that right hand of resetting. Really like what this guy does. Again, opportunities abound. These two guys, Ohio State, Juwan Jones, Paris Johnson. Okay. One of them's 360, 6'8", absolute monster right tackle. The other one's not small, 6'6", 310, but completely contrasting body styles. And because of that, completely contrasting play styles, we're going to watch them kind of both, maybe one at a time here. I really like the way these guys play. There's some limitations with all of these guys, just like there is with every player. But you can tell these guys are really well coached. We'll just start by saying that. So like the stances, like that they're trying to stay square initially. We'll just go through this first one. And what you'll notice with 77 in particular, really fast feet. Really fast feet. What he's going to do is we watch this. He's got fast feet, but sometimes he's not going anywhere, especially in his pass pro. He doesn't explode out of his stance. And what you're going to see from 79 is, as you can expect, I'm 360 pounds. I'm going to try to get on you. I'm going to try to cover you up. I'm literally going to be like an eclipse, right? Coming in front of the sun. You're not going to be able to see or breathe. And then he can punch and extend with the best of them. He's going to have to work on his set as far as getting a little more vertical and under control so guys can't come underneath. But at 360 pounds, he has good feet. Like the prospect for both these guys. Let's go to the second play here. And we look at 77 first. And you just look at the athleticism. So he's setting for the game. And he's able to turn. This isn't a great set as far as he should have continued to kick. But his ability to turn and push this guy by is huge. In other words, his recovery ability, his ability to flip his hips and run against, again, Georgia Bulldogs is big time. And so we start looking at behavior traits. We start looking at athleticism and what they're able to do, how we can help these guys out. That's somebody you can do. It's just from an athleticism standpoint, it's something you can certainly work with. And he's been playing at the highest level. Now we look at the big fella. He wants to set flat and he's not afraid right here. He's just going to set flat. You see those hands extended. Now you just think right now in this body position with like a Von Miller, and he's already turned towards the sideline after one kick. You think like, oh, Von's just going to do a ghost rush, go right underneath, and then, get the sack on the quarterback, okay? So when you watch these guys, even though he is playing against Georgia, this is not NFL veteran quality defensive end, and he's going to have to get some coach. He's going to take some coaching here, but I think he has the footwork, maybe most importantly, to be able to deal with some of the pass rushers that are over there against right tackles now. But you see this right here. This is a problem turning that early in your set against some of the elite level guys in the National Football League. Having said that, another one of these guys who's not afraid to finish. Love it. Okay, so he gives up a sack here. I want to show this back. And what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that he comes directly vertical. And we want to think, and I know this tape for some reason is not as clean as it should be, but we want in this situation for him to explode out of his stance and get back, kick for three, and stay square to the line of scrimmage. Okay, instead, he doesn't really go anywhere with that first kick, and he's taken two and he's turning, but he didn't really go anywhere. So if you think of like David Bakhtiari or Trent Williams, guys that really explode out of their stance and then settle, he's not doing that. He's taking a lot of little kicks. Laramie Tunsil can take a lot of little kicks, but he always gets back to his spot. Okay, so he can explode out or take little kicks. But when I think of like guys who just explode out of their stance, I think of David Bakhtiari in particular. This is something that we're going to have to work on if we want to get back square, get to the right position. The quarterback could have stepped up here, no question about it. You can see that there's a pocket there, but he is pointed the wrong direction too early, and the defensive end is able to press high side, get to the quarterback. Should he have stepped up? Sure, but either way, this isn't how we want to treat this play. So he ends up giving up the sack. We'll look on the other side, I think, with the right tackle now. And again, he's going to set flat. And you just can see how obvious this is. If in the National Football League, if you see this, you're going to run a pick stunt off of him every single play. So that linebacker's coming up on the right guard. That guy's just going to run a pick game. So they're going to run a linebacker end game. He's going to get picked. He does a good job of redirecting. He's got great feet, especially for a 360-pound guy. But with that kind of set, you're just opening yourself up for issues. Looking at the left tackle again. And see, immediately after that, you want him to explode out of that set. And it's almost like he takes a little kick and then turns. His inside foot kind of swings around, just like we were talking about with the last, or excuse me, the my man from Tennessee. And because of it, he puts himself in this disadvantageous position. Hands are outside. He's kind of gonna catch this player instead of being a aggressive pass protector. So feet aren't in the right position, hands aren't in the right position, and he's now going to get bowled back. He does a good job with his anchor. He's playing against really big-time college football players, okay? This is a lot of stuff you're going to see in the National Football League. You could stop this guy at the line of scrimmage, given the fact that he didn't really give you much of a rush, but if you're going to give up the ball, you're going to have to be able to take that ball over and over. Love to see a little bit better footwork. Okay, we got that square stance here. One thing that this guy does, especially if you're running like a 5 technique, basically, if you're 6'6", 360 pounds, and you run a 5 technique against a guy like this guy's got good feet. Okay. If you're running a tight 5, if you're not going to get wider and you're not going to challenge him, like he's going to take this little flat set. He's not going to go anywhere and he's just going to attack you. And he's pretty much going to shut you down all day, every day. You know, I just think of like a Cam Jordan. Okay, might be a guy obviously that's going to give a 5 tech, a true 5 tech, and it's going to give him problems. But most of those speed rushers, you think about your TJ Watts and guys of such, they're going to kind of widen out, get in a better position to make this guy's flat set be at a disadvantage. But most of the guys in the National Football League are just going to play that 5, that elephant end. Man, they're going to get swallowed up by a dude who's got good feet. He's 360 pounds. We want to just look at here again. Are we exploding out of our stance? Right? See how quickly he turns. Part of that is he plays high. So again, a lot of guys like this player, and they should. He's got good feet, but he does get a little bit high out of his stance, and he just doesn't explode back like you want him to. Is he capable of it given everything? You have to imagine that he is because of his size, weight. He's an Ohio State kid. He's got a lot of things going for him, but you got to see him explode out of his stance a little more and be able to maintain that hip hinge. When you watch this play, this is the first play that I actually saw of him, and it jumps off the screen. It looks like he's playing at a faster level. It looks like he's fast forwarded from everybody else. Incredible athlete. Again, a little bit high. Now you look at 79 on the other end here, and there's not enough guys in the National Football League who finish like this. And what I think a lot of people don't understand, Orlando Brown Jr. is one of these guys. Orlando Brown Jr. is not like a technician by any means. Orlando Brown Jr. is a big dude who plays really hard and likes to finish when he can. And he's getting a ton of money, ton of notoriety, well-deserved because of it. We celebrate, advanced metrics, and we celebrate, win rates and all this. Okay. But what you get respect from after there's that prerequisite for tackles? Can you pass protect? Yes or no? Do you give up like more than 5 sacks, less than 5 sacks a year? More than in the next category, more than 10 sacks, less than 10. Okay. Once you get that kind of cleared out, if you want to get respect, like if you want people to love you, you finish. And that's, some guys don't understand that. They think it's all about like pass pro, or you got to finish. If you want respect, you got to finish. This guy absolutely buries dudes over and over and over again, and then he actually doubles down on Barron and this guy right here. You got to love it. 77, we're going to see that shuffle down for the double team again. He's a little bit high here, gets beat by a good Georgia player. You just see the footwork that you don't like. My only point to bring this up is not to chastise this player, but to say you need to get your hips down in your stance and maintain that hip level as you go through all these ranges of motion, all these movement patterns. That's the thing that I think, for me, that he might be lacking, that he can really work on in between now and the start of training camp. He is a highly rated player. A lot of guys have him top 3 as far as tackle prospects, first round draft pick. I think that's probably true. He's playing against top tier talent here in college football, but I do think there's a huge opportunity here for him to better himself very specifically by just getting a little bit more under control and body position into confrontation. Like we talk about, how you get to confrontation dictates the terms of confrontation. We can do a better job here for sure. As everybody knows, hopefully has watched this before, I don't cherry pick plays, man. I just go through tape. I'm going to show you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plays at a time, sometimes usually in some sort of order, a chronological order. I'll bounce around from the tape, just trying to look for things that can give me a one-on-one look for this player, or a double team look, something that's valid, a backside look, so we can look at his footwork. But generally speaking, like, I'm not trying to cherry pick plays here to get a read on this guy one way or another, or create a narrative. I'm just telling you what I see. We look at this again. We need to be able to. I always think about line setting, right? So we want to get a little bit of width with our set. We want to get a little bit of width with our set. We don't want to get a ton of width where we don't get a flat set. We want a line set. So we want to get, after 3 kicks, we want to get that inside foot on that line. And what happens here, and what this guy does a lot, is because he almost rotates in a stance before he gets back. We'll see it here. And he just kind of comes straight back. He's probably doing this because there's the 4 technique here. He doesn't need to get wide, okay? Which I completely understand. But we do see this from this player, even when he's got a guy outside, particularly when he's working against a 3 technique and they're worried about the TE. He'll shift his feet to this, and he gets almost his feet in line. It's just very difficult to operate there. It's very easy to turn you if you're a defensive end. Just something we need to think about. And now we look here on the other side. The big fella doesn't bring his second foot into contact. So because he doesn't bring that second foot now, even though he does a good job winning with his outside hand, he's a little bit out of control. His feet are wide. And eventually this guy's going to wipe him off and release inside to get a little bit of pressure and flush the quarterback. Now, this is kind of what we're talking about. In situations like this, we know the outside guy is not going to go. So there's a little bit of football. There's a little bit of football IQ here, but there's really more of a technical thing. Right hands down on the 2-eye over the left guard, number 74. We see that the defensive end is not going to leave. You take 1 kick, you come back and you slam this door shut. So hopefully the guard can bounce off and make something happen on the linebacker over the center. But you see, he just kind of rolls into kicking that foot straight back, opening up. Comes back late, and he's just accepting that guy instead of stopping momentum. So not only did he not help the guard slam back and maybe take care of that quarter, or take care of that A-gap rusher, which they may not have responsibility for, but you're accepting this rusher, and now you're actually opening the door up instead of shutting the door on this looper, being the aggressor, taking the fight to him, being more of a physical player. That's the kind of stuff that we want to see at the National Football League level. Okay, we don't want this guy to get in and get his hand on the quarterback at all. You could have shut the door 2 yards past the line of scrimmage by staying square.